Hey everybody, just normal stuff going on. I wanted to do another update on what I've been doing lately. So if I haven't mentioned it before, I was working on a project for ESPN. They have an office sort of partnership thing at my school, my college, and so one of the guys working there, we had an NDA thing going on, but since we just showed a huge video and showed off the entire project to about like 50 students, and anybody who wanted to see them, I'm assuming that's kind of over with. We also just presented it to the school itself and some board members of something something in ESPN. So basically, all I got going on here is setting up a server and waiting for incoming connections. I was originally connecting to a master server, and I had all that set up. Unity master server is really interesting. Basically allows multiple different games and game types to connect, and anybody hosting a server can be like pinged and found via the name of the game, and it's really interesting setup. But we ended up cutting out that functionality. Turned out we didn't need to, but no wait, I cut it out and it still didn't work. And then we just went back to what I did before. It still didn't work, which was magical and insane. Yeah, I don't care. Um, but it turned out it just didn't work on my computer. It worked on any other computer. Mine just stopped working with it somehow. It's really odd. But it's definitely an internal thing with my computer, not a constant thing. So, pretty interesting stuff. I was logging all the events, taking in some leaderboards, some users for username and passwords, doing authentication. We ended up cutting all that out so that anybody who wanted to use the app during our showing of it could just put in whatever username they wanted and still see their scores and stuff like that. It was kind of cool. Everything that ended up going on. And that's pretty much it. Not a lot to say. Just learned a lot about networking with Unity. So this month I've also been started Final Project, and for any of those of you not familiar with Final Project at Full Sail, you come up with 2 game ideas by the end of your first day, and then you spend the rest of the week just banging out the super basic portions of the game, how it's going to play, what the pace is going to be like, what the levels are like if there are any, stuff like that. So when we came up with our 2 games, they were both networked games, and we decided that we would do a networked game one way or another. So it was a spaceship game where it was a Star Fox style game in the end, where somebody would have to pilot and the other person would be the gunner, and you're basically being chased by a ton of enemies. So the level was supposed to be holy crap, what happened? Really? So I guess that broke since the last time I ran it. And so the person in the rear would be looking backwards and shooting all the enemies chasing you. The person facing forward would have to do all sorts of extreme piloting and all this stuff. So, I set up these sort of mock levels, and yeah, we got like some enemies way up here where they shouldn't necessarily be. So, anyway. Yeah, that was pretty much it for that one. We ended up going with the other game, however, which is a Mage Battle Arena style game. Let me just go ahead and open that. Yeah, I thought this game would be a little more fun and actually a little not easier to do as in I just want something easy to do, but easier to make the basics happen and then run with it and get all sorts of extra features and cool goodies going on. So all I ended up doing here is so we've got our player and the camera's attached to the player, and what happens when you hit play is all of these level sections. I created just one and made just duplicates over and over, so there's just a repeating set of geometry. And what I did is when you get past this trigger, so this is the main section, the trigger for it is way up here. Once I just did some dot products from you to the trigger, and once that dot product became negative with the original dot product, that part of the level was behind you, far behind you, and would move forward. And I needed it to be far behind you, so that when I switched this over and played as the rear gunner, you weren't just barely behind, the end of the level constantly. So yeah, the ship is actually staying in place when this game is being shown. This little demo here, I should say, it's not really even a game, is being shown. The ship stays in place and the level moves at you, towards you. Very simple, very, very easy to set up. Took me maybe an hour. Even get like the color, the secondary, viewing for the rear gunner and all that stuff. I ended up not coloring the ship and the rear gunner, but oh yeah, when you play as a rear gunner, you go into like a first-person-ish type mode in the back of the ship, so you couldn't see the color. So then our other idea is Elementals, our mage battle simulator, and what that ended up being, we had some odd, I don't really want to call them arguments in the beginning, but the idea was that our so originally our spells were going to be like these 3-tiered spells where I want to do water. I don't care if the joystick's not set up. Is that really the issue for all of these? So what it would end up doing is if you'd hit 1, it would choose water. Then if you'd hit 2, it would be like the beam. And if you hit 1 again, it would be it was a damage modifier that we had set up. So this would do more damage. This would be a like faster moving. This was longer range, and I forgot what the 4th modifier was. It was like the size or something. It was so if you shot like a big ball, it would shoot like an even larger ball for our spells. So we had these different spell types going on. We had cone and wall, and we got rid of wall. So we just got 3 spell types now. We cut all that down, but I basically did this to prove like you have to tap 1, then 1, then 1 even, all in a row. It was just too much of a pain to try and throw out one spell when we wanted to keep this a fast-paced deathmatch PvP style game. It just wouldn't work. And I think I proved that point, and we got it across pretty well. We've changed it up to where you pick your element in the first place. You're a certain type of mage: water, fire, earth, air, and then you just have the 3 spells, and that's it. You go around just trying to kill each other, and we just kept it super simple, super fast. We had a dash mechanic that I actually had programmed in here, and just all kinds of stuff, basically all that we've thrown in and out. Yeah, it's basically all I've been up to. Once they picked this game as the game, I immediately got to, well, I helped with the documentation we had to do, but I've largely been spending a lot of my time on rendering, as everybody knows I love to do. And I found out there are some really interesting things you can do with pixel shaders that I didn't know you could do. So I went around looking for good websites that had good examples of pixel shaders, and I found quite a few. So I've been messing with those, and I'm going to try and show those off. I got a couple really odd ones working today. They're really interesting. The site I've been using is called Shader Toy, and I actually have an account and some favorites saved. My name's Sluggernaut on there if you wanted to know. So today one of the first things I wanted to do is I looked around on here for a good like flame, fire sort of technique you could do with the pixel shader, so that I can just have a quad that does what I want my fire to do, and then I wrap that around, say, the fire guy's feet. And so this would be on a quad, but wrapped on a cylinder, really. Um, and so all these flames would be coming up from the ground around where his feet are. So I took it upon myself to start with this one. It would seem pretty interesting. But all of this is in GLSL. I work in HLSL, being a DirectX programmer, of course. So I got that translated over, and it doesn't look quite like this, but I think that's because my sample image isn't exactly the same. The sample image here can definitely make a difference as to how your product comes out in the end. So if you don't have the exact same image, you can have some really odd differences between your what you were getting and seeing as from what you're trying to produce and what they have here. So my image is pretty close. It's close enough. So if you guys noticed, oh man, that is choppy with the recorder on. Ouch. But let's try and get rid of this guy. So that one was pretty hard just because I didn't know what I was doing with GLSL, transforming up to HLSL at first. It was really hard to get a grasp on, really. Just load this page, please. So as soon as I was done with the fire, though, and had it to what I thought was a comparable and doable system that I could use later, I moved on to this thing. Holy crap, which you just saw. I didn't know this was even possible with just a vertex shader, or sorry, pixel shader. But I mean, we've got like 6 different functions in here besides the main function. We've got an overloaded function. Things I didn't know. I didn't know you could have an overloaded function in a pixel shader. I thought that was a little too advanced for something. I understand how code works and is read and everything, but I just didn't think a pixel shader would like overloaded functions or use them. So that was kind of interesting, and as you saw, I got that to work. It runs pretty smoothly, just not while my video recorder is running, I guess. So yeah, I was pretty fascinated by that. And then the next thing I'm gonna try and get going on is I got this one done. This was actually the second one I did once the fire was done. This was pretty much a copy and paste job with some GLSL semantics being changed to HLSL, and I was done. This is going to be the next one I try and tackle here. That one or this guy here. I really like this for our rock dude, but even on my desktop, I think this runs it with my much better graphics card. This runs at like 12 frames a second or something. It's quite impressive though. So we'll see. See how that turns out. This guy's doing some really interesting things here. Try and get this a little more. Yeah, there we go. So once you take out some of the stuff he's doing and just do a return before you call this Veroni function here, which I don't even know what this is doing. It's doing some pretty crazy stuff. So now we just have a sphere here instead of it trying to interpolate, and it almost looks like it looks like it's I forgot what it's called now. It looks like it's tessellating based on the image before I made it these spheres. So anyway, I'm going to try and see if I can get that working for our rock guy and get a rock ball throwing around with that sort of effect on it. That'd be great. Yeah, pretty much just wanted to recap what I've been doing lately. I've been keeping busy, doing lots of research and doing lots of programming. I still really like this voxel edges thing that this guy did. Transferring stuff from GLSL to HLSL is a huge pain for about the first hour and a half until you learn a lot of the semantics. Mix is lerp and fract is frac and stuff like that. So it's these tiny changes, and sampling is a little different. They've got some interesting sampling techniques you can do that you can't seem to do in DirectX, but I'll get there. I'll get it all figured out. It's still really, really close. Other than that, guys, I'll catch you guys next time. You have a good one.